Hello there, Eric here, and I am back here with Star Wars Reporter for another quick comics review. This time we are taking a look at the Han Solo miniseries that goes back to shortly after Marvel got the reins of the Star Wars comics once again. And what we have here is it's shortly after the events of A New Hope. Han Solo helped, gave an assist in blowing up the Death Star. Good job, Han. But of course, he's feeling a little squirrely about this whole hero thing. It's not quite sitting well. So he's tried to go back to the life of a smuggler. Yet at the same time, that's not really sitting well anymore either. He is a little paranoid. He's turning down jobs, good jobs even legit jobs, anything that feels like it might attract too much heat. And so the legend of Han Solo, even in his own mind, is decreasing a little bit out there in the universe. People are starting to think about, hey, did he lose his nerve? Is he scared now? What's going on? So this changes, though, when Princess Leia, much to her chagrin, much against her better judgment, in fact, I believe she even says as much, decides Han is the best person to help them with a mission. Deal is somebody's been going around, often spies of the rebellion, not spies in the rebellion, members of the rebellion who are spies, spying on the Empire. Somebody's offing these people. So they figure out there's got to be a mole. Well, there's only just a handful of the members of the spy network that are left, and they all happen to be on planets that are along the route of the Dragon Void race. The Dragon Void race is apparently the most dangerous, the most infamous race in the galaxy. So naturally, they're like, well, what's the fastest ship we know about that we might be able to get? Obviously, the Millennium Falcon. After all, Kessel Run, blah, 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 right? So, Leia manages to recruit Han, and there's a little bit of romantic tension there, which is done really well, which, of course, Leia puts a stop to kind of motivate him, get him out the door, get to the mission. But the artist does a really good job of displaying that Han actually feels a little bit hurt by, what Leia does, and Leia clearly regrets it. Really, really well done on the part of the artist, actually. Those particular facial expressions. Anyway, Han, in his typical cocky fashion, goes through this race and quickly becomes one of the front runners, much to the surprise of the other people in the race. The thing is, they're not smugglers. They're basically people with all kinds of extra time and money on their hands who go around doing races around the galaxy. And the Dragon Void is the latest one that they want to conquer. They figure they've got what it takes. And people like Han just actually don't enter this thing. One, probably because they can't afford it. Two, it's just not. It's a whole different class of society, sort of thing. So, like I said, they look down on Han. They're like, freaking dirty smuggler, get out of here, you scruffy looking nerf herder. So, but Han, of course, is like, oh yeah, I'll show all of you punks with my hunk of junk looking ship. Which, of course, he pretty much proceeds to show most of them up, because that is what he does. Because despite what some people seem to say about Han these days, something I don't understand, there's a lot of people who say he's only so good in his own mind, and he's so on, things like that. And I'm like, this is Han Solo we're talking about, right? He is, in fact, an awesome pilot who managed to get the drop on Darth freaking Vader. Really? I mean, come on, people. And we're talking about it in the movies here too. I mean, he helped. He was there for every major step of the rebellion. This guy is actually really, really good at what he does. Anyway, that's a bit of an aside. I just had to get that out there, man. Anyway, back to it. Like I said, he quickly becomes one of the front runners of this race, and he gets a little bit of help from one of the other members. I can't recall the name. It was, of course, long and complicated because she was an alien, and she is the last of her kind, which becomes a little bit of a subplot through this whole thing. They develop a little bit of a, I don't know if I go so far as to say friendship, but definitely a mutual respect. So as they go through this thing, they, of course, they collect the moles, and short version is, yes, they uncover who the spy is, and they they mission accomplished essentially. And Han doesn't actually quite win the race. The race is actually won by that alien that he developed a bit of a professional relationship with. And he actually pulls a Lightning McQueen. Actually, he had the chance to win it, but he decided that no, I can't leave this person in the dust because it's last life accomplishment sort of thing. And so he decides to actually give her a bit of a boost, and that unleashes a whole other round of hurt on Han's enemies, which works out very nicely. So Han, throughout this thing, they of course run into the Empire, who start out trying to shut this thing down, which of course doesn't go well. And so you get the Empire rolled in, you get all these racers rolled in, and Han, of course, is trying to outplay them all. Leia just wants him to accomplish the mission. It's like, just get my spies back, please. I really don't. I don't care about the race. I know, hard to believe. Han's like, but I've wanted to win this thing my whole life. I have to win the race, and besides, that'll get me to your moles faster. And obviously, everybody wins. Everybody wins. He's got a good feeling about this, I guess. And again, like I said, it doesn't turn out exactly the way Han wants, but they managed to recover the moles and everything. That's really good. The characterization of Han is really good in this. You see some of the conflicted scoundrel who's still trying to. He doesn't want to go back to being. He doesn't want to be the hero. He's still got that in him. But this is sort of the next step in his evolution from what we were left with, what we first met at the beginning of A New Hope, and what we were kind of left with at the beginning of Solo, a Star Wars story. We got the person who's really the good guy, as Kira so aptly pointed out in the Solo movie, but he doesn't want to be the good guy. Being the good guy hurts. Being the good guy means attachments. Being the good guy means those attachments can get hurt, which means you get hurt. The only person, of course, that he is comfortable having an attachment with is, naturally enough, Chewbacca, who, of course, also shines in this miniseries. He actually does a lot to keep Han on track, to pull his butt out of the fire, which is perfectly appropriate. So in the end, I'd say Solo, a Star Wars story it's a Solo Star. I'm sorry, the Han Solo miniseries. It's a solid short issue miniseries. I think it was 5 issues altogether. I picked it up on Comixology, really cheap. It was just like $4 or $5, something like that. Well worth the read for that. And yeah, I highly recommend that as we've got a while to go yet before we get to the next May the 4th, but keep your eyes open. Comixology likes to run sales just randomly sometimes. So keep an eye open, and I definitely pick it up. And if you really want to go get the print edition, definitely get that too. And yeah, so Han Solo miniseries. Good read, good characterizations of Han and Chewbacca, good characterizations of the dynamic between Han and Leia. And yeah, we'll be back the next time. I've got some other comic reviews coming up in the near future. I still got to get one out for Vader Down. In the meantime, I've read the Princess Leia miniseries, and I've got some Poe Dameron comics on deck as well. So expect those in the coming weeks. And until then, may the Force be with you.